Erik Ten Hag's Ajax yesterday lost the Dutch Cup final with loads of Manchester United fans tuning in to see how the game went and loads of opposition fans tuning in to see how the game went, meaning last night social media was absolutely exploding with jokes and memes and Ajax bottled it and Ten Hag's a bottler and the Manchester United effect and all of these sorts of things. Now, did Ten Hag make some mistakes? I don't know. Did the players make some mistakes? I don't know. I think in a final, obviously you're up against another good side and it can go either way. Here's the thing though. There are mistakes that have been made at Manchester United and there are mistakes that Ten Hag needs to avoid making if he's to become the Manchester United manager. Yesterday's result doesn't really matter to Manchester United as far as I'm concerned. It'd have been nice for him to pick it up. He's won it before. Does it make much difference if he wins it this weekend? Honestly, I don't know. Maybe this is one of those distractions he was talking about and one of the reasons why he's banned the English press. We'll be talking about that a little bit later on. But there are mistakes that have happened repeatedly under Manchester United managers since Sir Alex Ferguson. And I think Erik Ten Hag, to be a success, needs to avoid making those same mistakes. Now, here's 5 that he needs to avoid making. In at number 1 then, be demanding of the board. No secret, every single manager post Sir Alex Ferguson has had their wings clipped to a greater or lesser degree by the Manchester United board. We saw Jose Mourinho's second season where he got Diogo Dalot, Fred and Lee Grant as a transfer window while he's trying to chase Manchester City after a respectable finish. He was never going to do it with that. He still needed massive surgery to the first team. Fred has since become someone that's involved in the first team a lot since then, but he was never, in my opinion at least, signed as a first choice, first team player. And Manchester United need to be signing first choice, first team players to improve that first 11. Moyes got Mata and Fellaini, and I'm not 100% sure how much he wanted Juan Mata, who was arguably the better of the two, and was Fellaini the right thing in a summer where we were meant to be signing Fabregas and Thiago Alcantara. As soon as you make non-footballing people make these decisions, problems arise. And the way United have operated since the Glazers have taken over, I think it's important Ten Hag has an approach a little bit like Conte's had at Spurs and at Inter. You're not going to back me, I'm out. He's done that once at Inter already, and it looks like he could be doing that at Spurs as well. No manager has been backed consecutive summers since they've came, and I think that's the important thing. Every single one of them has had a window where they didn't quite get what they wanted. Not entirely anyway. So I think considering the massive overhaul that needs to happen at Manchester United, I think it really does need to have things in writing and promises that aren't broken, and he needs to be demanding of the board and actually probably go public if he's not given what he wants. Number 2, and this is kind of linked to number 1 really, he needs to stamp his authority on the squad. This squad is an absolute mess at the moment, and players seemingly do what they like. And I don't like the fact that loads of players were polled on, do they want Pochettino or do they want... It doesn't matter what they want. They'll get what they're given, and they'll get told to deal with it. There's been a lot of talk of players getting away with things like takeaways, and Cavani just seems to just do what he fucking wants at the moment, and they're complaining that they have to go home after it's dark, or... Ten Hag recently banned English media from Ajax press conferences to let him focus on the remainder of the season at Ajax. I love that. United don't do that. United have had so many opportunities in recent years where nonsense has been written about the club. So Alex Ferguson used to ban journalists all the time, and it kept them in line, and it helped the team on the pitch because the narrative gets driven by the media. Manchester City, if you write a bad article about them, will phone you up and ask you to justify that article. Now that's bullying. Because you do that 5 or 6 times, you're like, I can't be asked justifying my articles every single time I write them. Or having my accreditation taken away because of an article that I've recently written. So I think Ten Hag coming in here, hey, what did you say about where I was living? Out you go. What did you say about the way I left Ajax? Out you go. See you in 90 days. Stamp his authority both on the media and on the squad. And hopefully that'll have an impact for us on the pitch. Number 3, he needs to adapt. A problem that Van Gaal had when he was at United was that he adapted too slowly to the Premier League. He came, he brought control, he brought possession, but he lacked flair, he lacked bravery and he lacked a little bit of ingenuity in the final third. Sorry, Ten Hag's team isn't possession-based like Louis van Gaal's possession-based was. There are differences. He is a little bit more direct. There is a little bit more danger. There is a little bit more fluidity about it. But he's still going to have to adapt his style, one, to the players that are at his disposal, and two, to the Premier League, because it is different to anything that he's ever coached in before. If he doesn't adapt, he will die. David Moyes proved he was a competent manager at Everton, a competent Premier League manager at Everton, and he's since proven that again with West Ham, overachieving with a middling team that can play on the back foot, and the fans will be happy with that. At Manchester United, he failed to adapt to being a manager that's expected to dominate games, win trophies, and play with a little bit of swagger and a little bit of flair. David Moyes didn't have the ability to adapt to be that manager, but he's still a competent Premier League manager, as he's proven with West Ham, proving to be very effective. He couldn't adapt. Louis van Gaal couldn't adapt. Jose Mourinho couldn't adapt. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer arguably couldn't adapt to the job at hand. Being adaptable doesn't mean turning your back on your principles, but it does mean being able to deal with what's in front of you. So Alex Ferguson adapted to a lot of different challenges at the club, which is why he stuck around for so long. If you're not adaptable, you will die. And I think Erik ten Hag needs to prove he is adaptable. If he's open, he manages to avoid being sucked into some of the stuff that other managers have had to deal with or failed to deal with, and I think he'll be all right. Number 4, he's got to be sensible and cautious in the transfer market. We found out that with the Glazers, the transfer structure is all over the place at best and non-existent at worst. One summer you might get loads, the next summer you will get nothing, and there is nothing in between. There are a lot of players need offloading. There are a lot of players who are just going to leave, regardless of whether they get offloaded or not. They're just going. That means he's going to have to be cautious that whatever he gets this summer will not be replicated next summer. He needs to make sure that he's got a team capable of competing and not rely on promises from later on down the line. He needs to be sensible in terms of whatever bets he makes with his transfers are how he's going to be judged. Jose Mourinho arguably went down with Sanchez. Moyes probably a little bit with Fellaini. Louis van Gaal with Memphis and plenty of others that didn't work out for him. And all of the managers have suffered as a result, including Ole. Ole gets given Varane and Sancho, who didn't adapt quickly. He gets given Ronaldo, who, albeit is having a fairly decent season, but the expectation and the pressure went through the roof, and all of those players weren't competing at the top and weren't playing at the top of their game. And that's why United were losing games, and ultimately Ole paid the price with his job for that. You as a manager are going to be judged on how your signings do. So he needs to get the right signings, and if a signing does well, it'll be because the team's doing well, and therefore you as a manager are doing well. Your signings are going to be so important. You'll get more patience if you go with smaller names. If you go for a big money signing, you've gambled hard that this is going to be the one to turn the team around. You better hope you're right, because if it's not, you're going to hear about it. And number 5, get stuck in. So Alex Ferguson was famously not a tracksuit manager. He was on the training ground observing, very much more of a psychological director of football that picked the team. Real genius and quite possibly unique, certainly in the 21st century. Most managers nowadays are getting their boots on and they're literally moving players around. Louis used to do it. I'm not sure to what degree Jose did it. I think Rui Faria was the one for him. Solskjaer, I know, was on the training ground, but also used to allow McKenna and Carrick to take training sessions. Ten Hag takes the training sessions. He has his assistants that do this, and he has analysts who do the other, but he takes the training sessions. Get stuck in. Get your own system put into these lads, because you're going to live and die on the back of how quickly they adapt to it. I think there's a bit of a lack of hands-on coaching, it feels like, at Manchester United at the moment, and I think we could really benefit from someone who's very demanding, very meticulous, and very sure of what they want to see in the players. And I think the best way to deliver that is to get your boots on, get on the training ground, and deliver it. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it,
then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.